hello out there. I am Coach Shika. I am the founder and CEO of One More Step, which is a purpose, vision, and relationship coach, veteran focus, right? Veteran focus. If you guys have not checked out my introductory video to this particular series, then please do. It is marriage in the military, and that because now I'm doing a series, and my series will be focused around military relationships. Military relationships. You guys listen. Military relationships is like no other relationship. We have so many other things that we endure that people who are not in the military doesn't have to be faced with. All right. So let's start with the history. That's what this video is about, the history of the military marriage. Now, because we are people, we have marriages just like everything else, just like everybody else. So no sooner than we enter the military, most of us will enter the military, will be in for a little while, and then we'll get married. Most 18 to 30-year-olds in the military have been married at least one time. Yep, at least one time. The average age being 24. Now, people that are not in the military, most of them are still trying to find their way around the world. They're still trying to figure out who they are, what they want to be when they grow up, and being away from their parents' house for the first time. Whereas a typical soldier, right? A typical airman, a typical Marine, a Navy person, they're getting married and starting families. That's just the way it is, right? Let's talk about some of the things that people go through that are dealing with, people go through that deals with military marriages, right? One of the first things I want to talk about is the challenges. Some of the challenges involves being away from your home, okay? So you'll have a service member who left home for the first time. A lot of times they'll either go ahead and go to college, and when they go to college, they might move back home to their hometown. This is regular civilians. Regular civilians go ahead, go to college. When they leave college, they'll move back to their hometown, or they'll follow a job that was offered in another state or city, and then more than likely they'll stay there until the end. Every now and then you'll have one or two that may move again, but for the most part, most people kind of stay around where they were born or where they were raised, at least the state, if not in the city. That's not the case with service members. You guys know that we go from duty assignment to duty assignment to duty assignment. We're at a duty assignment anywhere from 1 year to 4 or 5 years. You have some people who will go to another country and stay over there for 4, 6 years. You have other people that will go to states and stay there, longer than the 6 years or longer than 8 years, right? It just depends on what they got going on or what it is that they're trying to achieve at that assignment. But on an average, a soldier or a service member, and when I say service members, I'm including all 4 branches of the military, right? So I have a tendency to say soldiers more so than anything else because I am prior Army. So because I'm prior Army, we refer to our service members as soldiers. Whereas in the Marines, it's Marines, and then in the Air Force, you have airmen, and so on and so forth. Okay, so when I say service member, it's because then I'm talking about everybody as one. Now, with that being said, we will leave and go from duty station to duty station. The average person stays, if they stay in the military for 20 years, within that time frame, they would have left and lived in another place at the minimum of about 6 times. That's average because of the fact that we literally go to duty assignment at least every 3 years. Okay. So one of the things I want to talk about, so some of the obstacles or challenges that I want to talk about today in introducing the history of the military family is talking about being away from your childhood home. Now, I know for me, when I first left for basic training way back when, I won't tell you guys when I left, but when I first left for basic training way back when, it was the first time I had been somewhere without my mother or without a family member. I left, went to my basic training, and it was something that I had never experienced. It was new to me, okay? I met a lot of new people, a lot of people from different cities, different parts of the world that I had never even encountered in my life before. So it was an experience for me. So not only that, but I had met someone back home who I had been dating for almost 2 years that I didn't want to part from him. So I did what most soldiers do. We chose to get married, right? We got married because I didn't want to be separated from him and he didn't want to be separated from me. And that's what a lot of the service members endure, or things that they have to deal with because they choose not to leave their spouse in that city. They choose to take their spouse with, or take their loved one with them. So they'll marry that person just so that person can go to their assignment with them, and so they won't be separated. So that's why our age for marriage in the military is so young, because we know that we're going to go off to another state, and in order to bring the person we love with us, we'll get married just so that he or she can go when we leave. Okay. Now, some of the things that we face, and even in that challenge of bringing your spouse with you, is that you'll have some spouses that have a hard time adjusting once they leave their parents' home. Okay. One thing about the military, regardless of what branch you are in, it's like a family. So although as a service member, you may be in another state, you still feel like you have family there, because you have your brothers and sisters in arms with you. And you know that no matter what happens, they're going to look out for you. If you are, driving down the road and you get a flat tire, you can call one of your members at your job, or one of your people you work with, and they'll come and help you, do the flat. If you're late picking up your child from daycare, you call, they'll go pick up your kid for you. You know what I mean? I mean, that's what we do. We take care of one another. So when it comes to the spouse that comes into that environment, he or she may have a hard time adjusting because they don't have that same family feel that we have. So one of the things that they'll go through is being homesick. They'll feel like, okay, I'm following you around everywhere. I don't have any friends here, no family. I don't know anybody. Hell, I don't even know where I'm going. And so sometimes that could become an issue in a relationship, especially a young relationship, right? Now, the history of the military is going to be a lengthy topic. So therefore, I'm going to divide this into 2 videos to make sure that I don't make it too long for one video. But that was just the basics of it. Just talking about the military marriage and the history of it, and talking about when we marry and why we marry. Again, we marry at a young age so that we can take our spouses with us, or the person that we fell in love with us, we'll marry. So that's why the average age is between 18 and 30, or excuse me, the age is between 18 and 30, with the average age being 24. And by the time a service member is 30 years of age, he or she would have been married at least one time, right? You figure in the civilian world, we're like 50% more than people in the civilian world. So for every 10 people in the civilian world that gets married by the age of 30, we'll have at least 15 of our members that get married by the age of 30. So that's why we're 50% more, right? Then another things we deal with that other people don't deal with is long-term field problems. Having long-time field problems cause disruption in a relationship, especially when you're talking about a young couple. A young couple doesn't know what it's like to be separated from somebody that they love for a long period of time, right? So you'll have the civilian spouse that's sitting at home. He or she doesn't have anything else to do. They don't have the family that we have, because we're family in the military. So it'll cause some issues in the marriage because they feel kind of alone, because they're by themselves, while the spouse or the service member is at a field problem, right? And we're not even talking about deployment. We're talking about a field problem. A field problem can be anywhere from 5 days or 7 days to 30 days or 45 days, depending on what field problem you're in. You could be at a duty assignment and in the field, like literally in the field somewhere, deep in the woods on that same duty assignment, that same post, but yet you can't see your spouse because you're at the field. Okay, that's just the life of a service member. That's just the life of people that serve, is having to deal with things like that, right? So in this video, the part 1 of the military, the history of the military family, I just want to address those 2 things. 1, the spouse being away from their family for the first time, and 2, having to deal with not deployments, but field problems, just something simple like that. So those 2 things are things that will cause havoc in a relationship, especially if you're talking about young couples that don't understand the way of the military, or how things go on, or the challenges that we face, right? So I'll come back to you in another video to discuss some of the other areas. All right, so again, this is my series, marriage in the military, and this is part 1 of the history of the military family, and I'll come back later to you guys for part 2 of the history of the military family. All right, talk to you guys soon. Bye.